So, welcome everyone, thank you for joining us today. We've been kindly invited to the Research Education Day to give an update on the work we've been doing within COVID-19 research and ensuring that the patient voice is embedded within the COVID research that's been happening in Nottingham. And as you'll probably all know, a lot has changed with the way we do involvement. And this has meant for us that a lot of the methods that we currently use for involvement have fast became redundant during the pandemic. So we found ourselves in a new virtual world, and we are hoping to share with you what we've been doing for COVID-19 research and how our patient task force has been supporting the PPI work we've been doing. So a little bit of context, we've come a long way in the last few years with patient and public involvement. Rather than seen as a tokenistic exercise, a lot of funding bodies have moved towards this being seen as a pivotal part of every research application. However, we saw a fundamental shift in this during the beginning of the pandemic, as evidenced through the health research authorities' statistics. They saw that pre-pandemic, 80% of all research submissions to the health research authority there was 80% included PPI. Whereas at the time of the pandemic, this went down to just 20%. So that shows a significant decrease in the amount of research studies that had involvement. Why was this the case? Well, there was no change to ethical reviews or the governance requirements in place to COVID-19 research. However, we understand that sponsors and research teams were placed under a significant pressure in regards to time when they were developing and submitting these studies to the Health Research Authority. So we know now more than ever, involvement is more important. And what we wanted to do was set up some centralised support in order to support researchers during the process. So with that in mind, we set up the COVID-19 PPI Taskforce, and they have kindly joined us today. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and I will introduce you to the task force who have kindly joined us today. So here we are. Hello everyone. Give us a wave.
Hi.
So this is a subgroup of the COVID-19 PPI task force, and it's a real wealth and breadth of lived experience and really valuable patient contributors from across the trust, across the Biomedical Research Centre and the clinical research facilities, and broader than that as well. So we're being represented by those who have joined us today. So what I'll do is I'll just go around everyone if you want to do a round robin of quick introductions. So Claire, would you like to start?
Hi everyone, my name's Claire Ward and I've been involved in public and patient involvement since 2005. I was actually one of the original 10 people in Nottingham and Nottinghamshire that was chosen by my GP to be part of the research and development team's first attempt at doing PPI, and it's just grown since then where I'm concerned. I've been involved in anything with an acronym: Clark, AHSN, BRU, BRC, you name it, I've seen them all. I've seen them come, I've seen them go, I've seen them change. I've been to lots of conferences, involved ones, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've done lots of different areas. I've done mental health, I've done pain, I've done hearing, which is the one I do mainly at the minute. And I've just been involved in lots and lots of different ways, particularly steering groups.
Yeah, thank you so much, Claire. I can see us all having a little smile when you mentioned how many acronyms are involved in research.
I was being slightly kind of sarcastic there, you see, since we're not meant to say them, but that's what we use all the time.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. Thanks so much. Joki, would you like to go next?
Yeah, hi, my name is Njoki, and I've started PPI in November 2017 with MindTech. I have lived experience of psychosis, and I enjoy contributing to research and helping as much as I can. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Debbie, would you like to go next? Debbie Butler?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I've got, like Claire, a vast amount of experience, over 20 years in patient and public involvement and engagement. My main interests are around mental health and technology. I also work with the Gastro BRC patient advisory group. And I also do a lot of work with the mental health charity Mind on their strategy and physical activity and mental health.
Thank you, Debbie. You can see everyone's like really busy. So busy. Margaret, would you like to go next?
Thank you. I'm Margaret. I'm from the northeast of England, and I've been with Andy's group, the Gastro, for a number of years, mainly reviewing documents by email. But COVID has actually opened things up for me. This is the first time I've met the other PPI members, so that's been fantastic. And being able to participate virtually, it's really opened things up for me. And I feel I belong in the Nottingham group, so it's been absolutely great. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Margaret. Debs, would you like to go next?
Good morning, everybody. My name's Debs Dulake. I came in via Versus Arthritis, so I do lots and lots of work with them, with their charity applications, their grant applications, and sounding the voice for patients on their boards. Sort of came in via Nottingham University, I think, to Kate and various things, and what a lovely group of people we all are.
If we say so ourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you, Debs. Richard, would you like to go next?
Yeah, hi, I'm Richard. I have been involved with PPI for about a year now since I retired. And my background is in clinical trials in the pharmaceutical industry, so I know a bit about the design of trials and the science side of it. I've got a link to the patient participation group, and also I've got an interest in public understanding of science.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Richard. And Andy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, everybody. I can just see two people behind you. Katie, how many people are in the room? So.
There's 5 of us all together. Let's give us a wave.
Hello. Hiya. I'm the patient and public involvement and engagement facilitator with the gastrointestinal and liver function of the Biomedical Research Centre, and I've been in that position with in its former capacity as a BRU since 2012. And I'm very privileged to say that I have a very active patient advisory group in that field, and thinking about how the PPI members who I've worked with over the years and the 100 plus research proposals they've actually supported, and how now I'm working with some of my patients who are now informing PhD students on PPI training, and the other work we do with year 2 undergraduates of the school, and add to that an absolute range of different engagement events that have involved all aspects of the arts, as well as actually working with the public at large. I would say that the past 8 years out of working in the public sector for nearly 40 years have perhaps been the most enjoyable I've ever had, and that's down to the people such as those in front of you today who I have the privilege to work with.
Thank you, Andy. And in the context of the COVID-19 PPI group, Andy has been very kindly supporting us with our online sessions. He's been coined the nickname of Mr. Chat because he helps us with the chat.
Is that right?
Of the group. Yeah, I didn't know if you were aware of that, but so, Andy's very kindly helped me facilitate the group as we've gone on the journey together online. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into a Q&A session, and we've planned some questions. So I'm going to ask the group, and we're going to go one by one. And once we've gone through those questions, I'm going to open up if you've got any questions you'd like to ask as well. So the first question I'd like to ask is, what has being involved in the Taskforce meant to you? So Claire, would you like to go first?
Well, as someone who has been officially shielded due to very complex medical conditions, it has given my mind a focus and allowed me to interact with other people to save me baking and eating the cake that I bake all day, every day.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that. Thank you, Claire. Jokey, would you like to go next?
Yeah. Hiya. So for me, COVID-19 task force has been an opportunity to be busy during the lockdown because I'm unemployed. I don't have any work, and I've been shielding as well, but that's because of my partner. And it's just given me structure for the week, and also being able to talk to other people and meet other people online. So I've enjoyed it.
Lovely, thank you. Debbie B, do you like to get it?
Yeah, I felt privileged when accepted onto the task group. It seemed very important to keep researchers in the loop about what was happening during the pandemic, and it has been good to help a couple of researchers with their information about PPI. And again, like everybody else, it's helped me to be busy through the pandemic and lockdown. And I've even got that busy that I've made my own office in my house now, so I need all the paperwork in the house.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Thanks, Debbie. Margaret, do you like to go next?
Thank you. It's been so inclusive. That's the word I would use to describe it. Lots of research opportunities, and they've covered a wide range of topics, both from the diagnosis side to the interventions as well. And Kate's been so fair, giving everybody the chance to participate, and I think that's been really important from an equality point of view. Turnaround's been very fast, and at times I've found meeting all the deadlines quite challenging. Sometimes it's been 24 hours turnaround, but that kind of pressure sometimes, you know, really inspires you, I think, to do more. For me, it's been well worth it. I feel I've learned such a lot. I didn't know much at all about a pandemic or vaccinations or the drugs that are used for it. So it's been a very steep curve, learning curve. But yes, I think I've learned a lot from it.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Lovely. Debs, would you like to share?
Yeah, for me, it was just the sense in the chaos that was happening outside the front door. It was the one known, the one reliability that we actually were able to just help researchers with, and feel that being isolated at home, we were still helping the fight against COVID.
That's really powerful. Thank you. Thank you. Richard.
Yeah, involvement in the task force has meant that I've had an opportunity to contribute to the forum, to help make research initiatives more relevant and reflective of patient experience. So it really does make a difference to the design of clinical research studies if you get patient input, and it's rewarding to know that you can actually improve the outcomes of the studies by getting involved and yeah, just contributing to that.
Thank you. Thanks so
and
much.
Sorry, I was going to say, and the team as well. I've enjoyed working with everyone as well. It's a great team of people to work with and exchange ideas.
Thank you. I think it's really powerful to hear all your perspectives, because with the five that we have from the task force, you all have different perspectives, or you know, a lot of overlap, but really powerful to see how being involved has impacted you, and what you've enjoyed about it, and that we may, you know, I feel like we built an online community here. So yeah, thank you ever so much for sharing. So we'll move on to the second question now, and that is, what have your experiences been in the new virtual world of involvement? So how have you found that transition from doing a lot of our involvement activities face to face to now having to move those activities onto our new online world we found ourselves in? So how have you found that? So Claire, if you don't mind, I'll come to you first, if that's okay.
No, that's okay. Well, I'm a bit of a Luddite really when it comes to technology. I certainly don't learn new things on it by choice. I think I still live in the 1980s actually. And I'm sure if it hadn't been for lockdown, that I would not have become the whiz at Zoom and MST that I am now. And the best thing about it is that nobody else could do it either. So we were all learning together. So we all looked a bit silly trying to sort it all out.
It's so true. I could just see everyone nodding at the same time then. We were all on the learning journey together. So yeah, thank you so much, Claire. It was definitely a steep learning curve for us all, wasn't it?
It was.
Thank you. And Jokey, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I found working virtual very interesting. Lots of opportunities. So sometimes I have like 3 meetings a day. But the IT side of things has been very hard sometimes, learning new technology and also just knowing when to interrupt a conversation and when to talk. But it's been very eye-opening for me, I must admit. So I think it's been a plus. Yeah.
Thank you. Really interesting. Yeah. Debbie.
Hi. Initially, I was very anxious about using the virtual world. But I soon got used to it, enjoyed keeping in touch with everybody. It was a strange way to communicate at first, but I'd been used to being able to pop into people's offices and ask them questions and give them a hug if they needed a hug. And I think that's been a big adjustment that I've had to make. But we can always have virtual hugs, so we'll get there eventually.
Thanks, Debbie. Virtual hugs for now, I think, isn't it? Thank you. Margaret, would you like to go next?
Yes, for me it's been great, and I think both Kate and Andy have tried hard to make it a really inclusive and enjoyable experience. I've loved meeting the other PPI members, and I think several will become really good friends. I hope that continues well after COVID. Regarding Zoom, I've particularly liked the chat function, and I think the rest of you know that. I really like it. It allows me to contribute without breaking up and interfering with the meeting. Also, I'll say Kate's been really great at giving us feedback, and I think that's important. It is how PPI improves, how we develop our knowledge and skills over time, and it's something that researchers often forget about because it's an add-on, it's something extra to do at the end, and you think, oh, I've got that part of the project out the way, that's it, and you move on. But Kate stuck with it and regularly given feedback. There's been so much work, at times I've had to trace back what the feedback's been on because there's been that much stuff, but it's just been really good that we've had that feedback. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And I think, especially at the moment, we've been getting the feedback very rapidly as well, and making sure that that's disseminated is so important. So yes, it's been fantastic to see the impact you've had on the COVID-19 studies that we've been involved in today, because you really have had a great impact on it. So yes, I'll move to Debs now, if that's okay.
Thank you. For me, the virtual world has been sort of double-edged, really. Like Debbie B's just said, we're very social animals, us patients. We do like to support each other. We do like to hug, but I think it's in this environment now, even if we were meeting face to face, we still wouldn't be able to do a hug. So I think that's the new way of living. I think from researching point of view, now geography is no longer an issue for you guys. You can go around the world, I would imagine, with the way that people have had to learn with Zoom and one thing or another. But for me, for mobility issues, the virtual world has been easier, and I'm able to still get my opinion across and still sit on my sofa. So it's a win-win, really.
Really good insights, Debs. Thanks so much for that.
Sorry, Kate, can I just say, the downside is that you need to be really careful on your group side. So Kate's been really good at sort of minimising how many people are on the call. One meeting that I attended had 37 people on there, and it was 2 screenfuls of faces, and that was really, really difficult to control and facilitate and listen to. So I think that's one of the downsides in that respect. It's going to be small quality, not quantity.
That's a really good point. And yeah, thank you, Debs. It's again things that we've learned as we've gone along, I think, as well. 37 is ambitious. That is a lot. Richard, would you like to comment?
I mean, I think Zoom's great, especially for this sort of number of people. It's got some advantages over meeting face to face, because in this sort of with this number, or slightly bigger in the extended group, you can actually see what people how people are responding, body language and so forth, without too much problem. And of course, no need to travel, and easy to log on now and use the software. Who would have thought we'd be using this? I was amazed that actually Microsoft and Google and that lot hadn't cottoned on to this. Zoom, and I know there are other things like Microsoft Teams, but Zoom has been brilliant, I think. Yeah, I do miss face-to-face as well. You don't get the extended networking in the chat over a cup of coffee, which I enjoy too. But all in all, it's been a good experience with Zoom. Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. I think we've naturally gone into our next question, which is, if you've got any, it was based around, have you got any particular benefits you can see from our virtual involvement, but equally barriers as well? And I think Debs and Richard have just touched on there, but I just want to go back to Claire and see if you've got anything you want to add in regards to that respect.
Well, only that. Mine's not really to do with the software and the meetings, but my biggest bugbear in life as somebody who is wheelchair dependent is parking. So the fact that I do not have to park at meetings is the biggest plus ever to using computers. And of course, the biggest downside is we don't get push lunches.
We do like
what more can I say? I do.
Not even the biscuits at the moment.
Oh, the biscuits. I mean, Jessie, my assistant's dog, she has to keep having them at home all the time because she's missing all the meetings. She's bored.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Claire. That's it. Yeah, that's a really important point, and I think it does, like you said earlier, Debs, it means you can be involved from the comfort of your own living room, but I know we do miss our face-to-face contact as well. So Jokey, would you like to comment any further comments on that?
Yeah, for me, one of the downside is Wi-Fi connection, because sometimes maybe a speaker, the internet is not stable, and it really disrupts the whole meeting. So I think that's the main downside I can think about. Yeah.
Yeah, we can freeze and go a bit, robotic voices, can't we, at times? But yeah, that's a really good point, Jokey. Yeah, thank you. Debbie, have you got anything else you'd like to add?
I think for me the biggest thing was the adjustment to not actually seeing people face to face, and also I think I think it was just the biggest part was getting used to the technology, and there's still a lot to learn. I've been in meetings where there's been 50 people on Zoom, but the facilitator knew it in and out, and he managed to get us into breakout groups and everything. But yeah, I think the downside for me mainly is the lack of face-to-face, but totally understanding the fact that it's good for people that find travelling difficult, and I'm happy to, in the future, use both face-to-face and virtual communities.
A blend, yeah, that's really interesting point. Yeah, and it's something that we can, as we move forward, we can see how it may work. But yeah, really important points, Debbie. Thank you. Margaret, have you got anything you'd like to add about the benefits or barriers?
Yes, just that I've been able to diary meetings and expedite work in a much more productive way. It made me realise how chaotic I've been in the past and having perhaps a lack of organisation, but through this virtual I've had to be organised more. And also what Joki said earlier, often participating in more than one meeting a day, which you can't do when you're physically travelling to places. So it's been great from a time management perspective, I think. The barrier has been the initial teething troubles we had with IT, but I've got to say, you got on top of that very, very quickly, and it can't have been easy, so thank you for that.
No. Okay, I think you guys, I think some of the Taskforce members were a lot more experienced than me. So I was learning from everyone. We're all learning from each other, which was a really nice journey to go on together, to be honest. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And I know, Debs, you have already touched on some barriers and benefits, but is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, just to say that you, as always, Kate, have been front leading in all of this. I'm really proud to be involved, even though my life through COVID lockdown has been a massive chaos within itself, as you know. But the way that you set the group up and stimulated the conversation, at some point you need to be congratulated, and I know everybody feels the same.
Stop it, you can get me emotional. I did not prep them with these answers, by the way. Thanks so much, Debbie. That is so lovely, and it's been my privilege to work with everyone. As I said, we were in completely, new territory. We were having to respond much quicker than we ever have before, and I think, everyone has worked so hard and been so committed and enthusiastic about being involved in this research, and I just hope that we can move this forward and that we can also share our experiences now so other people can learn that involvement is possible even in the circumstances we're in, and that it is important. So yes, I understand we've gone a little bit over on our time, so if it's okay, I'm going to move straight into the advice for researchers, and we'll try and keep it as brief as possible if that's okay. So this is the gold. This is gold. The next question is, if you could have one piece of advice for a research team who wanted to conduct involvement online or during COVID-19, what would that piece of advice be? So Claire, I'll come to you first.
Just don't forget that we're all here. We all have a lot of experience, skills and knowledge to offer. And as a large group of 25 in the task force to choose from, we should be able to offer a diversity of opinions on whatever subject you're researching.
Amazing. Thank you, Claire. There was thumbs up there from others. Thank you so much. Joki, do you want to go next?
Yeah, for me, my mission is to have everyone be a BAME ally in life, but also in research, whereby all researchers are thinking about how many people do we get from the BAME community, what's the budget, every PPI member to check every document has the BAME community considered and budgeted for and actually done. And for me, my motto is more than represent the BAME community, have as many BAME community members as possible. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much. That's really powerful. Thank you. Debbie, would you like to go next?
Yeah, short and sweet from me. I think there's a saying goes around in PPI about research, and it's nothing should be done about me without me. So, and I think for a lay perspective on that, if I'm being researched on, why not talk to me? So, sorry, excuse me. And also that patients, we're not going away. We're still here, even if we're behind a screen. So please do get in touch if you need to.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. That's again really powerful. It's all gold. Thank you. Margaret, would you like to go next?
My one piece of advice would be to involve PPI members as early in the cycle that you possibly can, particularly around identify and research questions, because I think researchers are very good at coming in a bit later down the line than that. You know, they're very good at getting us to input on consent forms and patient sheets, doing lay summaries, that sort of thing. But to actually get in right at the very beginning, that's more challenging because it takes a great deal of planning. I would also add to that the implementation stage, because I think that's quite often missed out. And perhaps the reason for that is that PPI members don't always have involvement and the links with the policymakers and the commissioners. So I'll just add something about training, because we haven't mentioned that this morning, and I think it's vital, particularly in the implementation stage. What does exactly that stage entail, and how can patients be brought into it? So that's basically my advice. Thank you.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Margaret. Really important points there. Thank you. Debs, would you like to go next?
Yes, please. So by the very nature that the fact that we're at home and you guys aren't going to have to submit expenses for us, i.e. travel expenses, parking, public transport, etc., etc., it would be really nice that you would offer to pay us for our time. The majority of us would say no. Trust me, we do. But it's all part of feeling of worth, of some use, on an equal standing to your other scientific people that you're having involved in yours. You're also paying for those times. So by the fact that we are behind a screen does not mean that, you know, that we shouldn't be paid.
That really important point, Debs, thank you. I'm glad you brought that up, because it can sometimes be the elephant in the room, but I think during virtual involvement, during the pandemic, that may have been something that's been overlooked. So that is definitely as relevant as it ever has been, to make sure we are valuing our patient contributors. So thank you so much. Richard, last but not least.
My one piece of advice is to have clear and simple objectives that are directly related to patient benefits. There's often a tendency to ask too many questions, to overcomplicate things, and this goes in particular things like, I mean, that's the research itself, but it also extends to things like informed consent, and have clear, simple messages, and keep them as short as possible.
Thank you ever so much. So
right.
Thank you so much, everyone, for that. That's the wealth of advice, recommendations and experience that you've just shared in that short time is incredible. And so I just want to thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to open it up now to those of us in the room. Does anyone have any questions, any burning questions for the task force? After that, you can always submit them to me post this session if you do have any. But if you have any, then please shoot. We have got them here now if you do have any questions for them. Yes, Reynolds, yeah.
In a post-COVID era,
yeah.
Okay, in a post-COVID era, would you think that a virtual meeting would be the way moving forward, or do you think that a mix of face-to-face and virtual meetings would be better in PPI?
Lovely. Thank Thanks, Matt. That's a really good question. So I'm just going to repeat it in case, because I understand that is the other side of the room. So Thanos has asked, post-pandemic, whenever that may be, when we don't have to work in a virtual world anymore, do you see that we'll go into a blend of both face-to-face and virtual? How do you see that, involvement will work coming out of the pandemic? What would you prefer? So you want to do it by raising of hands, shall we do? I see Debs, you've got your hand raised straight away. Would you like to comment first? That's Deborah D.
I think definitely a mixture. I think you guys now have got to think that the world is your oyster, literally. And I think where it's not viable, where the carbon footprint, for instance, and travelling expenses would just be absolutely huge. Those are the people then that you could offer virtual to, for them to still be involved within the community and giving their opinion across, but they might be other side of the world per se. So I think there needs to be the combination of both.
Thanks, Debs. That's really informative. Thank you. Debbie.
Yeah, I agree with Debs. I think it will be a mixture of the both, enabling more people to get involved. And I think as well, and it's just totally gone out of my head, the answer I was going to say, but for me, I think it's important that the researchers, because we're not seen around the hospital or at the university, that we are still here, and although we may have our health problems, a lot of us would still continue throughout that. So my plea would be, just don't forget that we're here.
That's that. Yeah, wonderful. Thanks so much, Debbie. That's really important. Yeah, Jokey.
Yeah, I was also thinking that both is best, and it's okay. But there was a conversation that came up where a PPI member is dependent on lip reading and found it very hard to do virtual. So also to consider that everybody might not want virtual, and to have a balance, or to have like the choice. What do you prefer? And also to take in consideration the PPI group of people you're looking for.
Perfect. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, has anyone got any other comments, and does that answer your question? Yeah? Lovely. Oh, Margaret, I can see. Sorry.
Yeah, just to add something into it, I have actually got mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I turn up physically, I may bump into a researcher in the corridor and they throw something at me in a very impromptu way. And that's a real opportunity to say something outside of a meeting, perhaps on a sensitive topic like end of life, something, really intimate that you wouldn't say in a formal meeting. But it's very handy to have that opportunity to get a message over very informally with somebody one-to-one. So I think if I had to say what I've missed, it is that, as well as the networking opportunities. It's also been that opportunity just to have a bit deeper conversation over something. We could do it by Zoom, but for some reason, I think we've held back on doing that. And it's perhaps something that we can talk about in our coffee mornings when we start having them, Kate. Anyway, that's where I come from on this. I'm sorry I'm going to have to go. Something else is pressing me, but I've really enjoyed seeing everybody.
Lovely. Thanks so much, Margaret. Thank you. Okay, and I think with that, we have definitely gone over our planned session time, which from our sessions that we run, this is something I do quite a lot, so I'm constantly apologising for going over. But if anyone has any more questions, then please feel free to contact us. It's the getinvolved@nuh.nhs UK, and we'll send that around to everyone who was going to attend the education day as well. So I just want to thank you all, everyone in the room physically, and then everyone in our virtual room as well. I just want to thank you for sharing your experiences. It's been so insightful, And I just want to thank you all for the work that you've been doing helping support research during this time. So yeah, thank you. And I'll let you all go, and I'll be in touch, but we'll do a wave. Hey. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.